The Pokédex is a weird little device, really. In universe it is borderline essential, but for us as players it's honestly kinda outdated when you think about it. The only real purpose it still has is telling us weird little things about each Pokémon, and the rest of its uses have been covered thrice over by websites like Cerebi or Bulbapedia. That makes it all the more sad that some of its more unique features have been cut over the years, one of which being footprints, which were included in Dex entries between Gen 2 and 5. Did this add something substantial? Probably not. Is it a fun topic to look back on and see how weird this forgotten feature really was? For sure. But you know what has definitely not forgotten about you? Raid Shadow Legends. They have got some crazy giveaways coming up that you most definitely do not want to miss out on. If you download the game using my unique QR code on screen now, or the link in the description and the comments, you can get 2 epic heroes, Tallia right now and Drake at level 15 for free, for zilch, for absolute nothing. And even if you aren't new, you can use the code to get your hands on a free legendary champion, Leminisi the Gold-wing. She's really good. She can remove enemy buffs like it's nothing, or block them outright, break through shields, and seems to be specifically designed to defeat the powerful event boss Korosa. It's like going into a battle with a gym leader using 6 super effective Pokemon, it's perfect. And all you have to do to get her is log into the game for 7 days between July 3rd and August 20th, and she's all yours. And hurry up, your streak has to start before July 31st to qualify. If you log in for another 7 days after that, you even get all kinds of ridiculously strong gear to outfit her with. Not like you need an incentive to keep coming back. Raid is a very well made game with great graphics and a battle system you'll definitely pick up easily if Pokemon is what you're used to. And just to get you prepared even better, here are 5 promo codes to obtain even more legendaries. You can only get one, so I would advise you to get San Wukong, he's unmatched. Make sure you download the game using my custom link or QR though, otherwise the code won't work. You can even find me under the name Pediaman and join my clan, the Pedia Gang. So give it a try, and thank you to Raid Shadow Legends for their support. Now, let's dive into some footprints. Like I said, this feature was a thing between Gen 2 and Gen 5, so while we have no information of any Pokemon introduced afterwards, there is more than enough to talk about just looking at the 4 generations it lasted. Well, it's actually 5 generations technically. Well, ORAS cut all this information. Despite its inclusion in the original Ruby and Sapphire, BDSP did not, meaning that Gen 8 technically also has footprints in this one game. And while it's not like there are any new Pokemon here, the simple fact this game is for home consoles and not sprite based does mean we get a way better look at Pokemon footprints here than we did previously. Many of them were even completely redone for BDSP, adding a great ton of detail. I mean, just compare Raichu's. It's an entirely different print. It does make you wonder whether Game Freak perhaps has all this information hidden away somewhere in a design document and just decides not to reveal it. Because the idea that Ilka is allowed to just create new footprints from scratch also feels hard to believe. I mean, just look at how different some of these are. Machoke's footprint has become a lot more humanized in BDSP, while the opposite is true for Mr. Mime, who previously used quite a human shape, but now has a more segmented look, which is actually quite odd when you look at how its feet are shaped. Ariados' feet have been completely reinterpreted, previously seeming taking 3 prints at once to create a line, while BDSP separates each, meaning the print is now a tiny dot. Sneasel's feet look a lot less hooked now, which is definitely more accurate. It's almost like its past footprint was a handprint, that's how crooked the fangs look. Dusclops' footprint now looks very cool and incorporates the toilet paper, I guess, that hangs from its feet, which previous games didn't do. But if you think footprint changes weren't a thing prior to BDSP, you're definitely wrong. Some Pokemon had their footprint designs overhauled as early as the jump from Gen 2 to Gen 3. Clefairy and Donphan both had a circular shape on their print in Gen 2, which was promptly removed. Togepi and Hoppip had the reverse happen. Their footprints had circular shapes added instead. Wooper originally had claws, which it most definitely doesn't have in its actual appearance, so that was certainly the right call to redo. Feraligatr had 2 claws originally, while it actually has 3, warranting a redesign. And I don't know what Tyranitar's footprint was originally supposed to be, but the redesign here is definitely much better and more accurate. After Gen 3, only 4 Pokemon had their footprint changed, with Mawile and Ludicolo the most obvious ones. and both were definitely for the better. Especially Ludicolo's flat out didn't match what its feet actually look like. Another changed footprint that I really want to highlight is Teddiursa. It went from like the most standard animal footprint ever with the cute little toe beans and all, to a more ambiguous claw-based design. And don't get me wrong, this is accurate. Teddiursa has 2 claws instead of 3. What is very noteworthy, I would say, is that this is the only time a Pokemon has ever had that standard footprint toe bean look. We have so many Pokemon based on animals that in real life have toe beans, or pads as the actual name is, like cats, dogs, bears, raccoons, etc. But none of these Pokemon have them visible whatsoever, not even in the more detailed BDSP footprints. The evolutions? No, they're just dots really. Flareon comes kinda close, but that's about it. Suicune appears to have very feline feet at first sight, but nope, its footprint is a simple dot. Purloin and Glameow have the same thing, and hell, Liepard and Galvantula have the same footprint, make it make sense. Snubbull and Gramble definitely aren't the worst examples, they at least have something resembling a pad on their feet, but it's not the familiar pattern real life dogs have. In fact, the Pokemon that comes closest to having this is one you never expect. Zangoose. At first sight, its feet or paws don't even look remotely like something you'd see in real life, but their footprint is actually the most toe bean-esque of all of them, even if I think the idea is more for it to represent its claws rather than pads. But for all this talk about Pokemon's footprints, there's also a very sizable chunk of the Dex which doesn't have footprints at all. Of the around 650 that existed at the time of Gen 5's release, 150 do not have a footprint whatsoever. Some of these make sense. Ghastly, for example, literally doesn't have feet or leaves a print, so that figures. I can also definitely see why Pokemon like Quillfish, Goldeen, Magikarp and Tynamo don't have footprints, they're fish after all. But honestly, a very big percentage of these 150, I have no clue why they don't have footprints listed. Especially since very comparable Pokemon do have them listed. First category, Pokemon that very clearly do leave an imprint on the ground, even if that is a hard to define one. It's probably the reason why Pokemon like Metapod and Kakuna, Serpentine mons like Dratini and Ekans, as well as round blob-like Pokemon like Voltorb, Litwick, Gulpin, Ditto, Grimer and Spheal don't have footprints. And yet, Shellos, Gastrodon, Octillery, Probopass, Omanyte, Credilli, Lileep and Spiritomb do have footprints, despite seemingly having the exact same situation. Names like Darkrai, Shroomish, Budew and Piloswine also seemingly fit this, but they actually have hidden feet underneath their body, and that's what the footprints represent. Except, several Pokemon that don't have footprints also very much have feet. Jinx is shown to have feet underneath her dress in both the anime and Pokemon Stadium, yet doesn't have footprints whatsoever. Burmy even has official game art that shows its feet, although in this case I can understand the argument that using those feet to represent a hanging Burmy feels odd. But by far the biggest oversight here is Chinchou. Chinchou is a fish, sure, but it can very much walk on 2 feet on land. We've seen that a whole bunch of times in the anime, manga, etc. And yet, it does not have footprints whatsoever. Another category with some weird inconsistencies is that of Pokemon that fly or float, but do have something resembling feet. Like, Ghastly doesn't, so that's fair game, but Crobat has those little paw things, right? And what to think of Excelgor, Escavalier, Vanillux, Carnivine, Dusknoir and Electros? Sure, they may all float and not touch the ground that often, but neither do Magnezone, Porygon Z, Baltoy, Musharna, Latias and Latios, and they all have footprints. Make it make sense. Similarly, Tentacool and Tentacruel don't have footprints listed, which I can kinda see based on their tentacles, but then again, Octillery does have footprints that match its tentacles, so why the inconsistency here? I don't get it. But it gets even worse. I would say the 2 most egregious examples of all, Pokemon where I genuinely do not understand why they don't have footprints listed, are Spoink and Sigilyph. They may not have feet in the traditional sense, but Spoink touches the ground every few seconds while bouncing, while Sigilyph very clearly has a sort of Tannen-like feet, right? That's what they're supposed to be, I assume. So then why do these two not have footprints? They also don't really fall into any category we've seen before, like how Jinx and Chinchou don't have footprints despite canonically having feet. Baltoy is in exactly the same situation as Spoink, standing, leaning or bouncing on one element below its main body. Yet Baltoy does have footprints, while Spoink does not. It's very strange. And it also just kinda shows how much of an afterthought this has probably always been. On one hand, it's very cool this was ever a thing. It was all additional bonus information after all. But the weird inconsistencies and the surprisingly long list of Pokemon that have the exact same footprint despite having completely different bodies like, I don't know, Regice and Venomoth makes all the more clear this wasn't some big focus for Game Freak, even when it was brand new. I mean, you could even make the argument that Ilka has shown more love for Pokemon feet than Game Freak ever did. And yes, I know how that sounds. Since BDSP brought footprints back when ORAS didn't, and even redesigned every single one. That's dedication, they didn't have to do that. Who knows, maybe Gen 5 will get that treatment as well if we ever get Black and White remakes, but after that, footprints will truly be done as a Pokemon mechanic, I would assume, left behind as a weird little factoid of Pokemon history. But what are your thoughts on these footprints? Do you think it's a shame they have never returned? And what are your theories on why there are so many inconsistencies? Share it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on all my future Pokemon content coming up. Don't forget to check out Raid Shadow Legends with the link in the description to support me even more, and for now, thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.